Hey everyone, welcome back to Elemental Cartomancy. Today I'm coming on to do a walkthrough of the Sharman-CASELLI tarot. Okay guys, so I've got the kind of a bigger box beginner's guide to tarot edition of this. Um, so that I got this only this week. So this is kind of the current version that you can get just on Amazon or whatever. It's not a vintage edition or anything like that, just so you know. Um, it comes in this box that's very much like the Druidcraft Tarot, if you know that. It's one of these kind of wee slidey drawer boxes. Um, Good durable box that keeps everything in place and safe, just as you would expect, just as you would want. So the box ticks the box. Um, like I say, the drawer kind of slides out, and the cards and the book and everything are in here. Now, what I do want to say about this is one of these decks that comes with one of these. You know, the cards are kind of in two piles, with the plastic wrap around them. I'm not usually a big fan of when people do when creators do that or when publishers do that, because normally you can tell there's like it takes a while of working with it to get it until it to where it feels like one deck and not two decks constantly coming apart. Um, but what I love, and it really annoys me storing decks in two piles as well. Like if you want to use the box to store them in, for me it's annoying when it does this because I don't want to be storing my deck in two different piles anyway. But what's nice about this is that you can get rid of this, and there's actually enough space for everything, for the book, for the the sheets and stuff, and for the cards to fit in one pile in the box. So I'm actually of all the decks that do this, I'm not too fussed because I can just toss this and now store it like this, which is amazing. I've got this kind of a purple, velvety purple bag that I'd got as a set. I had that spare, so I'm keeping them in that. And yeah, so I'm happy as Larry with that. Let's just have a look at what we get with the deck. Um, so we get this book, Beginner's Guide to the Tarot, and I'm really impressed with this. I'm not going to go into like Peace and War chapter and verse about it, but I do want to point out like what information that we're getting with each of the cards. So you can see here that as well as getting the usual kind of a blurb on the card, blurb on the divinatory meaning, which is great, we also get this depiction of the card and it points out different symbols on the card and tells us what those symbols mean. And I just think that's fantastic, especially for a beginner, It's just great to me. The more information that we can, that we can soak up from the resources that we've got, the better. So I love that it does this. Um, and I think we're getting the same amount, are we? Yeah, we're getting the same kind of a 2 pages of information on the majors as what we do for the minors. So again, I appreciate that. The other thing that it does is it gives us some different spreads to try out, and rather than just tell us what the spreads are and what the position meanings are, there's actually worked examples. So I think this has 6 different spreads, if I'm right. It's got one for each of the 5 suits, if we count the majors as a suit, and it's also got one for the entire deck. So you can see here, it's showing us what the spread looks like when it's laid out. It's telling us a bit about the spread, and it's giving us the position meanings, but then it's also doing it as a worked example, um, so that we can kind of see cards laid out and what they mean and stuff like that. So I think that that's really good. I'm really impressed with this ebook. Um, we also get this paper, kind of a just like I want to say spread cloth, but it's not cloth if it's a paper, is it? But um, we have the Celtic cross on one side, and we have, I think it's this, yeah, it's a 7 card spread on the other. It's just going to stay in the box for me. It's not something that I was ever going to use. But it's, there's no harm in having it, is there? So that's what we get with it. Now let's have a look at the cards, if I can get them out the bag. Um, so cards are reasonably glossy. Doesn't bother me. Apart from like kind of the way that they reflect light sometimes. Let me see if I can show you what I mean. Nope, apparently not. I'm always having trouble with light reflecting off cards, and when I want it to, it doesn't. Um, yeah, I don't mind the glossiness because it means they're nice and smooth, nice and kind of a glidey. It's a nice deck to handle. Um, the let's do a wee size comparison. So more or less the same, bit shorter. The length is a bit less than your standard. No, well, actually, no, I tell a lie. This is actually the exact same in terms of your usual US games. The only thing with this, with the Charman-Caselli, is that it's been more corner rounded. The corners are rounder. So it kind of makes it look as though it's bigger, but it's not. It's the same in terms of length and breadth. I've just realised that these cards aren't in order, so I'm going to have to go and do that. But before I do, these are the backs that we get. So I think in the more vintage versions, it's like a pink, a Cerisi pink back that you have on the deck. I quite like these. This nice purple, and it goes with the bag that I've picked out for it, so that works for me. But oh, there we can see the ring light reflecting on it there. So that's what I mean about glossy cards. Is that's the one of the disadvantages to it. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to put these in order, and then we'll do a wee flip through. Okay, so we're back and we're in order. Everything's hunky dory. Let's do a quick flip through. This is quite a Smithwaite style deck, so I'm going to try not comment too much on the stuff that we're seeing. But there are a couple of things that I think are quite cool. So our Fool, our Magician, our High Priestess. I do like that she's in white and not blue, and I like that we have the nice white column for, is it your King? Our Empress and the Field of Wheat, Cornucopia. Our Emperor, Hierophant, I think quite basic compared to some Hierophants. Some of them are quite embellished, quite dramatic. This one just seems to be, reading his book, he does still bear the Triple Crown, um, and it has the keys and the necklace. But you don't necessarily get that Pope feel from it in the same way that we do perhaps with the Smithwaite. The Lovers. So here obviously we have more of a Marseille style Lovers with the choice coming into it. Chariot. Strength. A Hermit. Wheel of Fortune. Justice. Hanged Man. Death. Again, slightly more Marseille style with the skeleton as Death, unarmoured. Temperance. So I like we've obviously got the rainbow in the background and we've got the rainbow in the angel's wings. The rainbow is what happens when fire and water, the sun and the rain come together. Not quite come together, but you know what I mean, when the sun shines when it's raining. Um, So it's a combination of different elements, and we see that in the Temperance card. We also see the one gold cup and one silver cup. Devil. Tower. Star. The moon. Sun. The horse looks a wee bit, I don't know, in pain, doesn't it? Judgment. In the world. So the suits, the wands, have our ace of wands. Two, three, four, five, six, seven of wands. So this one's quite different in that we don't see someone who's on the high ground. Um, they don't feel as though they've got as much an advantage as maybe the Smithwaite one does. So this maybe has a slightly different feel to it. The eight, again, slightly different idea, but if you think of the, we still get the idea of the movement and the momentum. And if you think of the discipline that's required in order to, be a pro at archery, we still get that as well. The nine. I like that there's wee flames on the wands. Really gives them that fiery feel. And the ten of wands. We have our page. Massive red feather. It's bigger than his face. Our knight. Our queen. Our king. He looks very happy. And onto the swords, we have our ace of swords, our two of swords. Really like the two of swords. I think that it's the one that I always think of when I think of the Sharman-CASELLI tarot, just because it's like the cover image on the box. The three. So we have the heart and the three swords, but we have that stained glass window effect. And if we look at the four, look in the background, you can see the stained glass window. I think that's really cool. Five. Oh, we've knocked it ski with. We can't be having that, can we? So he's holding the swords by the blades here. The six of swords. Love the choppy waters here. I think they've done really well. Seven. Eight. Nine of swords. Let's see what's on there. So we've got hearts, scales, vessel, and two people holding hands, making up the pattern on the quilt. That's quite cool. I wonder why that's been picked. In fact, this would be a good wee opportunity to take a look at the book and see if it tells us. 9. Okay, so yeah, here we go. So it says the red hearts and the motifs of the air signs of the zodiac represent conflict between feeling and thinking. Of course, we've got Libra, Gemini, um, and Aquarius, the water bearer. That's why. I'm glad I looked that up now. So all the air signs and then the hearts for the battling between the intellect and the emotions. I think that's quite cool. And then our Ten of Swords, our Page, our Knight. And you really get the charging in, you know, the speed here. He's moving against the wind as well. You see the way the trees are blowing. Queen. And the King. So onto the cups. We have a Ace of Cups, Two of Cups. Quite detailed this card, isn't it? See the snake in the background. You see the kind of a countryside background, the archway. Really quite cool. In fact, we see two snakes. I suppose that's we usually have two snakes in the caduceus, don't we? Three of Cups, party time. Four, five, or six, seven, eight. I like that the cups are forming this archway, you know, this portal, this archway for the person to walk through. So it's all about, you know, being emotionally stable, knowing yourself enough to know that you need to go on a journey, you need to go and do something. And it's that stability of emotion that, you know, allows you to create that path. The 9, and the 10. Our Page, Knight, Queen, and King. Okay, and last but not least, we have our suit of pentacles. We have our Ace, our 2, 3 of Pentacles. I don't know about you guys, but when I look at this, I see someone who's working for someone else. So I don't quite get the kind of a collaborative work feel that we might normally get from a Three of Pentacles that we might expect. Um, you know, this looks like someone who's been commissioned to work to build something for someone else, just in my opinion. 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm honestly not quite sure why one of the pentacles is just floating in midair. I don't know if it's meant to represent the sun or what, but I, I find this card a bit unusual. 8, 9, and 10. Our page, our knight, queen, and finally our king of pentacles. So what I'll do is I'll stop, I'll give these a shuffle, and then we'll come back and we'll do a wee sample reading with them to let you see them in action. Okay guys, just a quick note on how they shuffle. Really nice to both riffle shuffle and overhand shuffle. They riffle quite nicely, and bridge nicely as well. I'm actually going to move this up a wee bit, just so that we can lay all the cards on the table. And yeah, it's a standard size, so easy enough to overhand. It's probably will get a bit bored from being riffled over and over again. I'm not fussed about that. I like that kind of a aesthetic. It means the deck's been used, it's been loved. And it's it's not a dear deck. It's not expensive, so it's easy enough to replace if I need to. What I thought we could do for the reading is just a wee week ahead reading, just for, like, this can be in general, this can be for the collective, and I'm going to use the strengths, weaknesses, assets, and opportunities spread, because I was using this last night when I was live and it worked quite well. So yeah, a reading for the week ahead. So strengths. Oh, okay, right in there with the Ten of Swords. Okay, so our strength is our ability to pick ourselves back up after adversity, after going through something difficult and move on. For me, I know we don't quite see it in this particular Ten of Swords, but the next part of the story that we just don't see in this card is that person is getting up and they move on into that new sunrise, into that new sunset that we, well, it can't be both a sunrise and a sunset, can it? Into that new kind of a rising sun that we see on the horizon there. We do see there's been dark times, there's been difficult times, but it's all about kind of a moving past that and moving on, and taking forward, of course, the lessons of what we've learned. It's not like we suppress what's happened to us in the past and we forget about it. We still have the lessons, but we can still move on and enjoy what we've still got to enjoy. Weaknesses. Okay, so we've got the Three of Swords. So there's perhaps a bit of difficulty in accepting harsh truths. Um, for me, the Three of Swords, threes should always be about growth and expansion, and kind of like your initial actions, your initial getting yourself out there. And the swords are the sort of knowledge, they're the sort of intellect, they're the sort of understanding, information, and everything that we do with it. So the Three of Swords should really be about expanding our knowledge. It should be about learning new things. But obviously we do see quite a potentially painful depiction here. We could look at this and we can say, right, our heart's being broken, our heart's being stabbed. This is a card about heartache. At the same time, I think it's more about, how the swords, how our logical selves, our intellect, interacts with the heart, which is our emotional selves. So thinking about how our intellectual selves are sometimes beat down on our emotional selves. Um, and yeah, just like kind of how we accept information, how we take information in, and how sometimes we can take some things to heart, I guess. And that the more I'm speaking, the more I'm realizing that that's me in a nutshell. I can be take things quite personally and take things to heart quite easily. So that's definitely something that I need to work on. Um, so that's coming up there as a weakness that we perhaps need to look at. Maybe we need to work on this weakness in order to kind of be able to demonstrate this strength. In order to move past the shit, we need to kind of work on not taking it so much to heart. An asset that we have is the Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so we don't need to do these things quickly. There's not a time, not necessarily a strict time limit. It's not like we need to get up and go right now. We have the luxury, or we have the ability to take our time and do things when we're ready. Do one thing at a time, one step at a time, and not kind of just have to rush into it and not do things properly. So that's what the Knight of Pentacles says to me. It's a card about patience. It's a card about doing things in the right time. And then finally, we have an opportunity, and we have the Nine of Cups coming up. So after maybe what's some difficult times, what's some painful times, we have this ability to move forward into this new emotionally fulfilled phase that the Nine of Cups speaks of. Okay, and then one thing that I always like to do, just at the end of particularly a four-card reading like this, is I like to add them up and get a number between 0 and 22, just to get the kind of overall personality for the reading. So for the Knights, we have 12, plus 10 is 22, plus 9 is 31, plus the 3 is 34. So that's 4 and 3 is 7 is the Chariot. So very much about moving forward, about controlling all of those different forces. This was very much about kind of the intellect versus the emotional selves. We see this kind of a very intellectual center, but then we see ourselves moving forward into this kind of a more emotionally fulfilled place. So balancing those two, what would be the two horses of the chariot, and getting them pointed in the right direction, rather than our intellect attacking our emotions and our emotions taking the intellect taking things too seriously and getting too butthurt about things. It's about kind of learning to wield both of those things, because they can be a powerful tool when used together, when used in collaboration. So yeah, there we go. That is the Charman-Caselli Tarot. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you've enjoyed this. Take care, and I'll hopefully speak to you all soon. Bye bye.